Hey everybody, I'm Tommy.
And I'm Patti.
And we're with AldermanFarms, and we are so excited to be back at Deep South Homestead today with our dear friends Danny and Wanda King. Danny, Sweet Tater King, who's also the sugar daddy, and you'll see that on another video and it'll make sense. But we're here today to shoot the first of our joint videos in our Homestead Heart series. We've both done introductory videos. Danny and Wanda had one because they've only been married for 15 minutes, and they didn't. Comparatively speaking, they've been married 3 years, right?
3 years, yeah.
And Patti and I have been married 30 years as of this July in 2017. So it took us 2 videos to catch you up to sort of where we are. But today we're going to spend some time talking with one another about how to resolve conflict. We'll have to pretend that conflict exists, and but.
Yeah.
Patti told me there is no conflict, so I like that better. But talk about how we work through things and how 2 people become one and keep harmony in the relationship. So we had a pretty lively discussion about finances.
Yep.
And financial issues are probably the number one problem-causing thing in marriages, especially young marriages, or really marriages at any stage.
Marriages at any age, really.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, a close second, in fact, probably right in there, number 1 and number 2 is communication.
Exactly.
Well, a lot of your financial issues come from communication.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I would say communication is number 1, really.
It has been in our marriage.
It has been in our marriage.
Yeah.
And again, it probably is sort of an underlying cause of financial issues.
Yes, it is. Because
Lack of open communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, again, coming from the perspective, from a man's perspective, men, we got work to do. Because I can remember, and look, I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, but I know it's widely circulated and widely published. And so I'm just going to say it like it's true. Google it and find out yourself. But I read one time some research said that the average woman has an innate need to speak or verbalize approximately 25 to 30,000 words a day. Mm-hmm. Problem is, the average man has an innate need to speak or verbalize only about 12,000 words a day.
Right.
So if you are in a what, for lack of a better term, can be described as a traditional relationship, married relationship, the man is working outside the home, perhaps the wife is at home as a homemaker or works at home, or even if she does work outside the home, by the time the man gets done with his work day, he has already well exceeded his 12,000 words.
Yes.
Exactly.
But and so, talking about our particular scenario, I was a young police officer. I was a DARE officer, so I had been at elementary schools teaching the DARE program to 5th grade students all day long. Mm-hmm. Look, I was way beyond my 12,000 words. Well, Patti had been home with young children.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of our children. And so with 0 adult conversation all day long. And so I come home at the end of the day verbally spent.
Yes.
And she's chomping at the bit to start getting, chewing into that 25 to 30,000 words.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have anything to give back. And so I would shut down because my battery was spent and all that kind of stuff. But here's the problem. I was only thinking about myself, and I wasn't even considering that she needed to talk. It wasn't a matter of just wanting to talk. She needed to talk to an adult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You remember those days?
Yeah. And it wasn't 3, it was we had 4. We had, a 7-year-old,
Well, my point
a 5-year-old,
is
a
from the
4-year-old.
time we had the 2, So.
Yeah. And that was hard days, I was ready to be able to talk and to communicate and, just have some feedback and everything. And we've had to learn each other, want to learn each other and understand each other. One thing, I'm a morning person. I like to talk in the morning. Mm-hmm. He don't. At all. Nothing. So, and plus I get up early.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Plus I get up earlier than him. And so I'm really ready to talk when
Oh,
Izzy.
Yeah, look, you got to understand something. She's one of those people, and you have people like this in your life. You know what I'm talking about. She wakes up, and the moment her eyes are open, she's wide awake.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
there is no waking up.
I'm
Her
never
eyes
awake.
open, she's up full speed. To let you know how I am, if I have to leave at a certain time, if I have to leave my house at 6 a.m., I set my alarm for 4.
He's got to have 2 hours.
So that I have
He's worse than a
time
woman, I'm telling
to
you.
wake up. I'm like an old Model T. I got to have time for that crank to get going or whatever. You probably don't crank Model Ts. Don't blast me in the comments, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I need a long runway to get up speed. And when she wakes up, bam! And so I have to learn, though, that it's not just about me.
Yeah.
Back to those early days when I would come home, I was thinking about me, and she's trying to talk, and I'm thinking, she's not being considerate of me and letting me decompress for a while. And that's very selfish. And if you're going to have a successful marriage and truly become one flesh, then her needs have to be more important than mine. You know, so.
Right, and y'all have had such an opposite.
Well,
because y'all.
we've only been married less than 4 years.
I know, but
Yeah.
listening to your first story, I mean, y'all started out really because y'all
We
knew how
talked.
important it was. Y'all
We
communicated.
talked for 2 weeks before we ever saw each other's
Right.
face.
And we
Yeah.
talked 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day usually.
I mean,
Because
that just is
that's-
amazing. So, how have y'all kept that up through marriage? Now you're married. You don't talk 8 hours a day now.
The first
But
year and a half, I mean, and you got to
Yeah,
know we were
first-
special. We did not have to leave the place, and we didn't.
We didn't.
Except to run to town or go visit
There was some
family.
unusual circumstances with us.
Yeah.
Everything I owned, I had paid for.
So we sat here either in the swing on the back porch, you know, or at the table.
We did what the Bible traditionally talks about when a couple gets married. That the man was not to go off to war for a year. He was not to do anything for a year. He was to stay home and be a husband to his wife, build a home, raise kids. You know, these kind of things. What the
During
Bible
the first
says
year.
during the first year of a marriage is supposed to be done. And basically, that's what Wanda and I did.
We didn't do it because of that.
We didn't do it
really
because
think
of that.
We just,
Well, I did. I thought of it.
Well, I mean, we did think of it. I mean,
You didn't have anything else to do.
Well, I mean, yeah, I couldn't go to work because of physical issues, and we had money.
and
So-
we had things here to do. I mean, we got out and we had our garden and
Yeah.
things, but we did everything together. We talked every day. When we sat down for breakfast, we talked. When we sat down for lunch, we talked. That was our big deal.
Yeah, but you got to realize there's
long time.
another aspect to this that made this so easy for us is because I had lost a spouse,
Yes.
and because I had lost a spouse and had her die in my arms, it opened my eyes as a male to just how short life really is,
Yeah.
and just how quickly something that you love can be taken from you.
Exactly.
And then there is no more talking.
yeah,
Then you're just talking to yourself. And I sat for 2 years and just talked to myself.
yeah,
And
he needed
and
that.
I needed
downtime.
time to be rebooted. You know, I needed that time.
He needed that to
I had to
Let
decompress.
everything
I had
out.
literally I had to have somebody to talk to. And then when Wanda and I, when God brought us together, communication was a big issue.
It was the issue.
It was the issue with us.
And with me, I came from a different relationship that was very difficult, and I needed somebody to be gentle and kind and listen to me.
Yeah.
And I needed that, and so we both, that's what we had to do in order to make
Yeah.
our marriage work.
Yeah.
It was to come together and be the support communication-wise.
Communication,
for
we had to
both of us.
support each other through
Yeah.
communication, and then the fact that I had taught a lot about this particular subject in the past in my life, because I've been a teacher most all my life. The one thing I realized was that marriages, and I've used this kind of some of my other talks. Marriage is a lot like a bank account. You can't draw from it if you don't deposit something into
Yeah,
it.
sure.
that's good.
Yeah.
You know, and I use that analogy with Wanda and I. I realized that if I was going to talk to her, I had to also be able to listen to her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wasn't gonna get anything out of this relationship as far as depositing. If I kept depositing into it, I was gonna wear her out verbally. Even though, like Tommy mentioned, women need that 30,000, 40,000 words a day, I was exceeding that with her.
Yeah, he
And-
needed to talk. When we first got together, he had to talk more than a woman would because
Yeah.
he had bottled up so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
he had to talk and talk, and finally I had to say, okay, whoa, let's slow down.
Yeah.
And we balanced it out now.
Yeah.
Now there's times we don't even talk. We walk through
Yeah.
the house and don't say anything.
We don't say anything, you know.
And it's kind of strange. You're looking to see, okay, did he just come through the house?
Yeah.
Because usually we would talk all the time the first year and a half or so. And since we've really gotten into gardening more
Mm-hmm.
and everything, we plant together, we pick together, we can together. But there's
Yeah.
times that there's things I need to do in the house. There's
Right.
times he has to do things in the shop. So in the last year and a half, it's gotten to where we have separated some during the day because you do need that
You need
downtime
you need that
too.
time.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
And so part of communication is knowing when to separate
Mm-hmm. And then
and come back together as far as, giving each other a little space.
Yeah.
And some people think, because we are together all the time that we,
Talk all that.
we don't, but
Yeah.
we have to have a little bit of space and we
Yeah.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
Danny mentioned a moment ago that he came to the point where he understood he needed to listen for a while, and so let me talk just a minute about listening. And I say this as somebody who's still in our 30th year of marriage as a 54-year-old man. I struggle with this, okay? But when Patti is talking to me, if I'm doing this, I'm not listening like she deserves for me to listen. Now I may be hearing her. I may be processing what she just said. Most of the time, not able anymore. I used to be really good at divided attention. But if I'm reading a newspaper, but if she's talking to me and I'm looking at her and really processing what it is that she's saying to me, that's listening. And so it's something I don't want to tell you that it's something I've got down pat because it's not. I'm easily distracted. But
I'm thinking about the water bottles this morning.
yeah. Anyway, I'm not nearly as good at divided attention as I was in my years of law enforcement, where I could read a book, be at a basketball game, hold a conversation, and understand everything that was going on. But and here's the other thing that I think I am better at now. But in my early days, especially as a police officer who was faced with issues I had to resolve on the job all the time, but mostly because I was a man and we try to conquer things and fix things and stuff, that when she needs to pour her heart out to me, she's not coming to me to tell me about it so that I can fix it for her all the time. I mean, if she wants me to give her advice or ask my opinion, she'll let me know. But the problem is, most of the time, all she wants me to do is listen. And so, guys, they just want you to listen. Unless they specify otherwise, that they're asking you for input, then just listen to her and let her talk. And don't try to fix everything. Because here's the thing. If you're trying to fix it, that means you're not really listening. You're processing what she's saying, looking for the best response. Don't do that. You've all had conversations with people. Men, I'm talking to you. You've had conversations with people where you realized they weren't really listening to you. They were just sort of halfway listening, thinking about what they were going to say next. Don't do that for your wife. Listen. She needs to do that. She needs you to do that.
One thing I wanted to add in our relationship, one of the times that I feel like we've had the best communication is when we moved to Mississippi. Of course, we didn't have all of our gadgets and stuff that we could communicate with instead of communicating with each other. But anyway, one time we would get off of work, we would have a cup of coffee every afternoon together. And it was like, we didn't plan that. That was just our afternoon coffee. The kids were finished with school. They were outside playing. We were by ourselves. And it was really a spontaneous thing.
Right.
But it really, I feel like that was the best time. So as far as that, it was a prescribed time. We started a habit of it, and it just really, we were away from everything. Well, really, we'd just stand in the kitchen sometimes. We'd stand there and just drink our coffee and chat. And it wasn't 30 minutes necessarily or an hour, but it was one-on-one, undivided time.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't have that in your relationship, pick a time. Start with 10 minutes. Go sit in the lawn chair outside or just sit at the table and drink your coffee with no TV, no cell phone, nothing like that. Do y'all still
We do
have
that.
prescribed time?
Ours is probably first thing in the morning
First thing in
after
the morning
breakfast.
after breakfast, yeah.
And then somewhere around 9 to 10 o'clock, we take a break, and we usually go sit in the swing
Mm-hmm.
and just chill for a while. And after lunch, we do that. After we eat outside.
It's
in
a
the
daily
swing.
thing for us every day. I get up, I
And-
fix breakfast every morning. Wanda fixes dinner and supper. And after each one,
we sit and
we
talk.
sit and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Yeah.
take 2 breaks during the day, one around 9,
one around 9,
2 or
9:30,
3.
and then one around 3 o'clock in the evening. We'll take another break and just sit.
So we have a lot of downtime
Yeah,
still
yeah.
that we
That's
just
good.
sit and talk.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot.
Over the years, I remember. Do you remember, Patti? This you may not even remember thinking about this, but I don't remember how long it was that before we had a day in our relationship that we didn't see one another. You remember that? We kept a running total, and that even started back even before we were Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can't remember the last time. There has been one or two. My job, my full-time job, requires me to travel some, and I may be gone, for a little while. And there has been some, but it's been a long time since there's been a day when we didn't talk. We at least have a phone conversation, typically 2, one in the morning and one at night. And then sometimes we, thanks to technology, we'll text back and forth during the day, but if I'm traveling, I try to make sure. Sometimes I don't do it as quickly as I need to do, but we try to do that, to talk. It may not be but just a little bit, but I need to hear her voice. I don't know whether she needs to hear mine or not, but I need to hear her voice, and we just kind of, touch base. And so because it's about communicating, it's about communicating.
That's right.
And if the Bible, if 2 become one flesh, then we need to be unified in thought and unified in our approach to life and our approach to family and our approach to the farm. And she's the one that has all the grand visions, and she needs to communicate those to me. And,
Well, he can get them done for me.
He's the one with the visions, and I'm just sitting back going, whoa, go ahead.
Keeping the reins on me.
I'm the guy that says, honey, I know you told me you need that done. You don't have to remind me every 6 months.
Yeah.
You'll get that overnight.
I got it instantly.
Yeah, because
there's 2 words there you'll catch real quick.
He's the one that with the visions. And he has all these grand visions. Mine are different from his lots of times. And he makes things happen. He's the one with the projects, and I'm the helper. I just
That's
go
what
help with
that was
stuff.
my job in life. I make things happen.
And I just sit and help with things,
Well, that's awesome.
Well, we haven't solved all of your communications issues,
Or
but
none of them.
or maybe any of them. But
We hope you have some good ideas from us and learn where we have accomplished things in our marriage.
Right. Similarly with Danny and Wanda's segment on financial issues in marriage, at least we've touched the high point, and as Patti said, maybe given you something to think about.
Yeah.
But hey, I'll ask you this: if you've got any tried and true methods for keeping lines of communication open among yourselves in your marriage, let us know about it in the comments section, and we do want to hear from you. But we want you to know, as we always say, we appreciate you so much taking the time to watch what we have to say. It still blows our mind that anybody Gives
Yeah.
a rip that we,
Yeah.
that's what we have to say, and we appreciate you,
I'll never get that.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, y'all.